So, have you noticed something a little different lately? I'm talking about the apps on your phone, the cars you see on the road, maybe even the drones flying overhead. It seems like suddenly a lot of them are from Chinese brands. And you know what? It's not your imagination. This is a huge shift in the tech world, and today we're going to break down exactly how it happened. I mean, it all started pretty subtly, right there on our phones. This app called TikTok just appeared. And then boom, before anyone really knew what was happening, it became the most downloaded social media platform on the entire planet.
And then right on its heels, you've got these e-commerce giants like Temu popping up. They're using some seriously innovative app tech backed by China's incredible manufacturing power to go head-to-head with giants like Amazon.
Okay, so it's not just on our screens. Look at our roads. We're seeing this explosion of electric car makers like BYD. And get this, they're not just selling more EVs than anyone else. They have this killer advantage because, well, China is now the world's biggest battery maker. That's a huge deal. And now, here's the latest twist. In the massive race for artificial intelligence, a brand new chatbot called DeepSeek has just burst onto the scene. And it's directly challenging the dominance of the big US tech giants right in their own backyard. So you have to ask, right? How did all of this happen so fast? It feels like it came out of nowhere, all at once. Well, let me tell you, this is absolutely not a coincidence. It's the result of a very deliberate, very long-term plan. And look, this trend goes way, way beyond just the apps and gadgets you see every day. We're talking about something much more foundational. China's tech dominance is being built from the ground up. Okay, let's take drones, for example. The next time you see one buzzing around, there's a 70% chance, that's 7 out of 10, that it was made by just one Chinese company, DJI. I mean, that is near total control of an entire global market. And believe me, it is not just drones. In the supercritical field of renewable energy, China controls a staggering 80 to 95% of the entire global supply chain for solar panels. Just let that sink in for a moment. And you know what? It's the same story when you look at other futuristic fields. Chinese scientists, they're publishing more quantum computing research than anyone else. It's AI firms, they're filing more patents than any other country. They are literally building the infrastructure for tomorrow's technology right now, today. So again, how on earth did this all happen? Like we said, it wasn't an accident. It was the result of a deliberate, long-term, and frankly, an incredibly ambitious government strategy. The whole thing is called Made in China 2025. It was launched way back in 2015, and the core goal was pretty simple but also really profound. The idea was to completely shift the country from just being the world's factory for cheap stuff to becoming a self-sufficient, high-tech global superpower. So the big question is, did it work? Well, according to one major analysis, of the 250 specific mini goals set out in the plan, a staggering 86% of them have already been achieved. That's an incredible success rate. The plan really zeroed in on 10 key sectors. And if you look at the list, you're going to see a very familiar pattern: electric vehicles, 5G equipment, renewable energy, artificial intelligence. Sound familiar? Yeah, these are the exact industries where we're now seeing Chinese companies totally leading the charge. Okay, so how exactly did they pull this off? Well, it was a multi-pronged strategy, and it was all backed by the state. Here's the basic playbook. Step 1. The government set a really clear national agenda. Step 2. They poured massive, and I mean massive, amounts of state funding into R&D. 3. They worked hard to acquire foreign talent and technology. And finally, step 4, they often required foreign companies to partner up with Chinese firms just to get access to their huge domestic market. And when I say massive funding, I am not kidding. The Chinese government planned to spend up to $1.5 trillion on this plan. To put that in perspective, that is a level of investment that very, very few countries on Earth can even dream of matching. Now, as you can probably imagine, this rapid rise hasn't been without controversy. The United States and its allies have accused China of basically shortcutting innovation by stealing intellectual property. They point to examples like the alleged hacking of U.S. aircraft manufacturers. And on the other side of that, China, for its part, has consistently and officially denied all of these accusations. So, the Made in China 2025 plan was actually so successful that it really started to alarm its rivals. The West responded with sanctions. But And this is a big but. This had a totally unintended consequence. It actually forced China to become even more innovative. You know, there is an old Chinese saying that I think fits perfectly here. Life always finds its own way out. And that's exactly what happened. Faced with all this external pressure, Chinese tech companies had no choice but to find a path toward complete self-sufficiency. The story of Huawei is really the perfect case study here. Back in 2019, they were a global tech giant. But then, bam! US sanctions completely cut off their access to the foreign microchips they needed. Their business was basically crippled. But then, something truly remarkable happened. Huawei pivoted. Hard. They poured a ton of resources into developing their own chips. And then, in 2023, they just shocked the entire world by releasing a brand new smartphone with an advanced chip that many experts thought was completely impossible for them to make. And all of that brings us right here, to today. The end result of this huge, long-term plan is a brand new, incredibly high-stakes global race for technological supremacy. Now, don't get me wrong, this race is far from over. China does still lag behind in some really key areas, like making the absolute most advanced microchips. And the US and its allies, they are definitely not just standing still. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars being invested to maintain their technological edge. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. A new technological superpower has emerged. One with a clear plan, incredibly deep pockets, and, as we've seen, a proven ability to get things done. And this raises a really fundamental question for the 21st century. In this new global tech race, who is going to build the future?